Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books, and I've been covering a lot of Warner Bros. Discovery, and I'm covering Velma as well now too. Things just keep getting worse for Velma, but I don't know, people still sort of watching it. Velma's Rotten Tomatoes scores continue to fall following newest episode's release. It's down to 6%. I mean, that's really pretty bad. In addition to that, Scooby-Doo spin-off Velma on HBO Max becomes the third worst rated TV show on IMDB, scoring 1.3 out of 10. That is not a high score. And they have literally like every conceivable show is on IMDB. So in comparison, it's pretty bad. This isn't just review bombing. It can't be, because other shows have been review bombed or people have gone and written negative comments and whatnot. People really don't like this show. It's almost like it's in a perfect world of being a bad show, but also ruining a franchise, but also insulting people of specific races and genders, but also not well representing a specific community that it's supposed to represent for ideological purposes. It's just completely disappointing for anyone involved. And if that's not bad enough, they've also got this article from Fox. Scooby-Doo spin-off Velma jokes about sexualizing teens as woke series endures blistering ratings and reviews. There are a couple instances of it. I'm not going to talk about it a lot in detail because it really is inappropriate content. At least NBC has her back a little bit, Mindy Kaling over there, saying amid Velma pushback, Mindy Kaling is a lightning rod held to an impossible standard, some critics say. So when they say some critics say, and that's the headline, they're pushing this on her behalf. And this article talks about some of her influences when she was going to college and what she must think of other people of other genders and other races. And that's supposed to excuse a lot of the mistakes they obviously made when they were making the Velma show. But let's get into the first article. Before we do, please be sure you subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give it a thumbs up. You guys are the best. I really do appreciate you. Velma's Rotten Tomatoes scores continue to fall following new episodes. This is from MovieWeb. Adding 2 new episodes of Velma to HBO Max has only made the show's score go down further. Reimagining the mystery solvers from Scooby-Doo for the adult animated series Velma has been a risk that doesn't seem to be working out all too well for HBO Max. Featuring executive producer Mindy Kaling voicing Velma in a new origin story for the character, the series debuted on HBO Max earlier this month to mostly negative receptions. Its critical scores were fairly mixed, premiering with a 55% rotten score on the Tomatometer and at Rotten Tomatoes, while the audience score was a much lower opening at 11% rotten. While the show has garnered high viewership, now when they say high viewership, the show came out and it was reported to be HBO Max's biggest animated premiere so far. Now, that is a great way of saying, what? Compared to what exactly? There's a lot of shows that were on HBO Max that are no longer on HBO Max that were animated. Why? Because they didn't get viewers. So to say that it was the biggest viewing opening for an animated show on HBO Max, it doesn't really tell us anything. It's good positive spin, and I applaud HBO Max for trying to make the best of it, but I don't know what that means, so you can't say it got high viewership. These scores were obviously not what the power that be at HBO Max have been hoping for, but some reviewers had stated in their reviews that they saw potential in the Velma series despite a rocky start, optimistic that the series will improve as the episodes continue. Following the arrival of episodes 3 and 4, however, the scores only continue to fall. The Tomatometer now lists Velma at 52% rotten on the Tomatometer, while the audience score has plummeted to a very low 6% score. And if you understand weighted averages and things like that, basically meaning to get the score to go down, they need to have a lot more new negative ratings, which obviously they're getting. And you also know Rotten Tomatoes is notorious for trying to manage the, quote, review bombing, end quote, such that if they get a lot of negative reviews and they think it could be a bot, or if they want to get rid of some of the negative reviews just to help out the production company, they've done that in the past. So I can't imagine that these are artificially low, let's put it that way. If you think it's artificially low, or if you think it's on track, definitely let me know, please, in the comments below. The negative reviews can't necessarily be attributed to any one reason why Velma largely isn't working with viewers, as there are many different complaints people have cited. Even before the show's arrival, the concept alone had garnered criticism when it was revealed that there were no plans to include Scooby-Doo. And the reason why they didn't have Scooby-Doo, as a content person, as a creative person, I will tell you, this is my 2 cents. If you put a talking dog in a cartoon series, this series is going to be about the cartoon dog. Think about Scooby-Doo, the original show, without Scooby-Doo in it. It's sort of like, well, first of all, you wouldn't call it Scooby-Doo. Secondly, what's the special element of this? What's like the magical element of it? There's none. But if you're going to take a talking dog and put that into a show, generally speaking, that's what the whole show has to be about. And clearly, Mindy Kaling wanted the show to be about her and her character. I don't really have a problem with singling out one character. They did it with Wednesday Addams, right? So you could do that. It's just the execution of the show isn't that great. But to not have Scooby-Doo at all, that is pretty bizarre. A Scooby-Doo reboot series without the dog was a hard pill for many fans to swallow, putting Velma on an uphill battle to be well received by many ahead of its HBO Max debut. Meanwhile, major changes made to the Mystery Inc. characters, along with the show's sense of humor, have also come under fire. One of the things that's the most offensive about the show is turning Daphne into a drug dealer. You can't really do that. That's some people actually like the character, and drug dealers don't have a positive perception. I'm not looking to be hypercritical of people's life choices here, but when you're going to make teenagers drug dealers, it doesn't come off well. And they also made Velma a drug dealer as well. And I mean, you really not good for anybody who invested themselves in and liked the franchise. Now, Velma is not a critical hit. Velma isn't beloved, but it wasn't a total dud for HBO Max. The show debuted as the most watched original animated series on HBO Max, so even if there was a lot of negative reviews, it didn't stop a lot of people from tuning in. But the problem, again, with this characterization is, where does this stand in terms of a comparison to The Last of Us? Where does this stand in terms of a comparison to Game of Thrones? Let us know in context for an ongoing TV show project. Where did it fit? Because right now what it sounds like is, what did it do, 5% of Game of Thrones? I have no idea. But saying it was a, quote, big animated show, end quote, really means nothing. It remains to be seen if HBO Max will indeed commit to a second season based on the viewership numbers alone, or if the harsh reviews would have them limiting Velma to a single season. We did a video on this the other day. There is an update that is basically showing a production classification with a production database, implying that there is plans, at least at the production company, for a Velma 2, second season. It doesn't necessarily mean that HBO Max has agreed to go forward with it. And truthfully, I don't think they have yet. Because I think if they had, it would only help the ratings to go ahead and say, oh, we already approved Velma the second season. So enjoy the first one. The second one's on the way. There's really no reason for them to not do that if they plan to commit to a second season of Velma already. I would assume they want to see a few more episodes come through, and then they'll make kind of a decision of like, all right, how bad is this backlash, or is it going to blow over, or maybe it just creates enough of a social media interest that the show could turn out to be a hit. Who knows? But I don't think the second season is a lock just yet. Velma is developed by Charlie Grandy and inspired by the original characters from Hanna-Barbera Productions. It follows a teenage Velma investigating a dark mystery as she gets caught up in a love quadrangle between Fred, Norville, and Daphne. The first 4 episodes of Velma are streaming on HBO Max, with the next pair of episodes set to arrive on January 26th. The IMDB score of 1.3 out of 10 is not good. Los Angeles, California, Velma, the adult animated series and the latest addition to HBO Max's extensive roster, soon became the talk of the town, and not for a good reason. The Scooby-Doo spinoff has made history by becoming the 3rd worst rated TV show on IMDb. Velma is one of the most beloved characters from Mystery Inc. in the original Hanna-Barbera cartoon from 1969. Along with the rest of the gang, she would solve capers involving supernatural elements. She's known in the original cartoon for her keen intellect and love of science. Velma tells the origin story of Velma Dinky and is meant for much more mature audiences, and to somewhat depraved audiences. Because of like some of the subject matter, it's not about maturity. It's just not appropriate. You're not supposed to put that into content. Velma tells the origin story of Velma Dinky and is meant for much more mature audiences. Velma has an ensemble cast comprising of Mindy Kaling as the titular character, Glenn Howerton as Fred, Constance Wu as Daphne, Sam Richardson as Norville, Melissa Flamel as Sophie, and Jane Lynch as Donna. Velma will have 10 episodes in total in season 1. The show's IMDb rating currently stands at 1.3 out of 10. It is preceded by the documentary The Plummeted, which has come first on the list, followed by Itzy Boo Benin Masalim. I mean, these are not well-known shows by major operations. Velma received these ratings based on just the first 4 episodes. Velma has been under scrutiny since its announcement, and the main problem with the series was reportedly said to be the brash treatment of the titular character. This has made the show and its characters much different from the original. Another huge problem that the show poses was the rude humor and over-sexualization of the teenagers present. These attitudes have made the show fall farther down in terms of quality. Velma is set in high school and follows the story of the titular character, boy they love that word titular, who solves murders of numerous teenage girls. Despite the backlash, the premiere of the show had become HBO Max's most watched adult animated show. So, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think Velma is getting the abuse that it deserves? Do you think it deserves more abuse? Should HBO Max go ahead and renew it for a second season or not? I think they should wait. Like just straight up business stuff, I think there's a lot of problems with the content. Those problems could be addressed simply by an executive saying, hey, Kaling, get in here, sit down, and then have a conversation with her about what subject matters and things she can and can't have in the shows. You don't have to allow these people to do whatever they want when they're producing content when you're in charge of greenlighting shows, especially if you own the IP. As I said in a previous video, Scooby-Doo was actually quite successful as a film franchise. You can see here on Box Office Mojo that Scooby-Doo in 2002 did $275 million worldwide. And, that's 20 years ago plus 12. So that's like, from an inflation standpoint, that's a good $350 million worldwide approximately. That's actually very good money. They did a sequel, just 2 years later, that did $181 million worldwide. Adjusted for inflation, maybe 250 million worldwide. It's reasonable. It's very solid. So, you could kind of go ahead and turn this into a film franchise. You don't need to let Mindy Kaling do whatever she wants with the Scooby-Doo franchise, particularly because Scooby-Doo is not even attached to the series. You could do a whole separate thing with Scooby-Doo. But I don't know, let me know what you think of this in the comments below. Should they just get rid of this silly series and just say the hell with it and go back to making films? I think they should maybe. Go ahead and just make films. Why continue with this? It's risky to have this involved, and who knows how Mindy Kaling is going to blow up on you in the future. But do let me know what you guys think about it. Also, be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.